Yo, what's up, guys? Same Game Freak here. So we gon' I don't even know if I call this a rant as much as I would call this a response and kind of a clear explanation to the average user, people who don't know any better. Because there's this YouTube channel that I've casually seen during all the NX Switch rumors before it was officially revealed, even though we technically don't still know the specifications down to like which architecture is using. Known as Jody's Corner, I believe is what it's known as, which is essentially a glorified reaction channel with slightly other content. Now, this isn't me really knocking the dude's videos or anything, but he was like the main like Switch dick rider all up until that presentation and then got deflated as fuck and now is like in this fucking comatose state where he's like, man, Switch ain't shit anymore. Or like it's like pretty much going, oh, it's cool if you like it, but it ain't for me. Even though he's been riding the Switch the entire time and how he's been a Nintendo fan. And there's some things he says in his newest reaction video about the Switch in regard, he's reacting to their Super Bowl commercial. So I want to respond to a few things because it's a common trope I've heard, or a common phrase I've been hearing that doesn't make any fucking sense. So I think Eurogamers, Digital Foundry is what kind of started this phrase. They said the Switch should be marketed as a handheld. That's what they said, and everybody kind of ran with it. You know what? Because it looks great as a handheld, and it's an amazing handheld. But as a console, it just doesn't stack up to the competition. That's what people say, that's what they said, and that's what people ran with. And he says it in his video, and let me explain how that's such a stupid statement and what they're really saying when they say that. First things first, marketing as a handheld doesn't do shit for the device. Regardless of how you market it, it doesn't matter because you can play it either way. So what the fuck does it matter if you say, oh, I should have marketed it as a handheld? What difference does it make? It's still running Breath of the Wild. It's still running Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's still running Splatoon 2. It's still running all of the same games. So what difference does it make if you market it as a handheld? Because at the end of the day, and this is the point of the console that people seem to forget, you can choose how you want to play it. Why the fuck? Oh, and besides, people are looking at it either way anyway. If you notice in their videos, in the commercials, they haven't specifically said, they don't go through the specifics of going, this is a home console first. No, they just show people using it in various different situations. I'm on the couch with my Pro controller. I'm on the couch with my Joy-Con grip. I'm playing it on the go as a fucking handheld. It looks like a pseudo Vita. I'm playing it with the two Joy-Cons side to side, playing local multiplayer. I'm playing it with friends with local wireless play. Like all the same shit. And what difference does it make if I market it as a handheld or if I market it as a console? Also, what sounds better than you taking a 3DS game and up-resing it to fucking and blowing that up on the TV, or taking a fucking 1080p game and low-resing it to your handheld? What sounds better to you? And some of you would say that the 3DS upgrade. But let's be real here. If it's a console that does what the Switch does, that's impossible to get a fucking game that runs 240p on a screen to jump all the way up to 1080p. It's essentially like saying taking your 3DS game and blowing it up on your 1080p screen. The shit looks like ass. But taking a fucking 1080p screen and shrinking it down to like 720 or even 480, that's a little bit more fucking manageable. And the whole point is that I can get the same goddamn experience no matter where I'm playing at. What marketing doesn't mean shit because because everybody has a perception of this thing just looking at it. As long as they convey what it does, everybody looks at this thing differently. I've heard people say this will be my ultimate handheld. I heard people say this will be my console. This will be my favorite console because I can take wherever the fuck I want to go. It does not matter how you market it because everyone's going to have a different perception anyway. And because the whole point of the console is that you choose how to play. I think in one of the commercials at the end of it, it says play anytime, anywhere with anyone. You know why? Because the shit is true. You can play anywhere, anytime, with anyone. That's the fucking point. Doesn't matter. Calling it a handheld does nothing. You wanna know why people want you to call it a handheld? Because what they really want the Switch to be is a replacement for the 3DS. That way they can imagine in their minds that hopefully they'll release a traditional Nintendo console. People who want this to be referred to as a handheld instead of a console are doing that because they don't want this to be the Wii U successor. They want a PlayStation 4-like console as the Wii U successor. That's why they keep fucking saying that shit. They keep fucking saying they should have marketed it as a handheld. Wonder why? And which is a catch-22 situation because they marketed it as a handheld. That means you know what your people's response would have been if they said this is a replacement for the 3DS. You know what it would have been if they came out in October and said this is a replacement for the 3DS. You know what people would have said? I'll give you a hint. Why the fuck are you replacing the 3DS? The 3DS is your console that's selling. Why wouldn't you replace your dead-ass console, the Wii U, Nintendo? What kind of stupid company are you? Who the fuck replaces a well-selling system instead of the system that's dead? Huh? Why the fuck? That's what people would have fucking said. And you wanna know why? Then that's the reason why they keep pushing that narrative. They should have referred to it as a handheld instead of a console. Because they want a traditional Wii U successor. They want a traditional console. That's all it fucking boils down to. Which is insane to me. Because the whole point of having a hybrid, which even mentions like, oh, this is going to replace the 3DS. It's a hybrid. It's supposed to replace both. How hard is that for people to get? It's people are still looking, oh, and look. Let's get into the other conversation that he mentions in his video, which is wrong, and I'm going to explain the logistics. It's not really complicated, and actually, the same could go for the Wii U in this situation. Hell, the Wii was the fucking proof in the pudding in a lot of ways. He mentions how Ghost Recon and fucking Red Dead Redemption 2 and Mass Effect Andromeda couldn't run on this damn thing. That's what he mentions in his video. That's fucking wrong. You might have to make some slight graphical sacrifices, which is understandable because you're able to take it wherever the fuck you want to go. But the fact that it could not run is bullshit. We know for a fact that it can run something like Mass Effect Andromeda. Red Dead Redemption, we haven't seen the fucking game yet. There's no game footage of that game. How the fuck do you know it can't run it? That's bullshit. And then, what was the other one he mentioned? Ghost Recon. I haven't seen any footage of Ghost Recon. I don't know if there is footage. But I'm saying the point is it can run PlayStation 4 games. That's the point I'm trying to make. The Wii U can run PlayStation 4 games at a lower graphical quality, yes, but it can still run the games and you can still get a very similar experience. Now, whether or not, so the first misconception is that it's not that you couldn't get the games to run on those systems. The question is this. If the console sells, you will see ports of games that you didn't expect to see. You will see ports, and some of you would say that's bullshit. There's no way you would see port. The Wii got ports of games, not every fucking game, mind you, but that's also because the Wii was a major gap. There was a major. For God's sakes, it was recently revealed that there was a port of Arkham. Was it Arkham City? It was either Arkham City or Arkham Asylum that was being worked on for the fucking Wii. If the money and the fan base is there, you don't think they're not going to port to the system? Listen, I agree it probably won't look as good as the PlayStation 4 version, which no one in their right mind is going, yeah, it's going to look as great as the PlayStation 4 version. To make the statement that you couldn't get the games to run or the games won't be in the system, you don't fucking know that. You just sound like a Nintendo fan who got overly hyped by a whole bunch of bullshit-ass rumors and then said, well, it wasn't what I wanted, and this is what always confuses me. Everyone who fucking gets excited for the Switch off of the rumors, and what realistically they just wanted was a PS Vita 2, which is essentially what they want, PS Vita 2. Because PS Vita got some of the third-party games, some of the traditional third-party games. They want a PS Vita 2, and for it to be traditional and get every single game, which really, to me, doesn't really make you sound like a Nintendo fan. It makes it sound like you only wanted the fucking console for like third-party games, in which case, why the fuck are you even looking at a Nintendo console? You should already own a PlayStation 4 Xbox One this late into the game, so what the fuck are you concerned about? But that's a different fucking story. My point is that if the money is there, and there's money to be made and there's an install base, it will get ports. That is a fact, because the Wii got ports, and the Wii was in a worse position in comparison to the fucking PlayStation 3 than the Switch is to the PlayStation 4. And some of you were like, really? In what way? Because the Wii couldn't even do competent online correctly at that point in time. Or it was essentially a fucking crapshoot. The graphics were way fucking lower because essentially it was ironically enough, you would argue the Wii was like the PlayStation Pro before the PlayStation Pro in that way. That it was just like a slightly incremental upgrade that would have made sense for the sake of like incremental upgrades, but doesn't make sense as the next generation console. So considering all that, why in the fuck is it so implausible to believe, those tiny ass carts? Why do you think people were saying it was a smart idea to have games on carts? Because carts can hold more than Blu-ray discs. It don't mean shit. The cart is small. It's that fucking hive mind mentality bullshit. And if FIFA and or NBA 2K18 do well, that'll prove the fucking point. You ain't gonna get Mass Effect to run on that. Bitch, says who? Who says that? It ain't got nothing to do with whether the game can run. It's the fact that companies are being cautious. Look, it's a Nintendo console. Nintendo consoles haven't had the best track record with third parties. Granted, that's a combination of third party and Nintendo's fault. But my point being, they're being cautious about the system to see how it does. And then from there, they're porting games. Nintendo was going to have to prove themselves. It's almost like getting a fucking Microsoft console and expecting there to be a big library of exclusives. Why in the fuck would you think that when the last console didn't do that correctly? So why in the fuck would you think that we would go from Wii U level of third party to fucking PlayStation 4? Over the course of a generation, just like everything else, Nintendo has to prove itself. But for some reason, and that I hate that marketing argument. That's not a plot. That doesn't make sense to me, because it wouldn't change what the console is or does. And it also wouldn't change what you really want. What these people who are saying this really fucking want is they want a Nintendo PlayStation. That's what they fucking want. And just fucking say that. Don't fucking sit here and act like you give a damn about the marketing. You don't give a fuck about the marketing. All you give a fuck about is your PlayStation Nintendo. That's what you fucking want. Just fucking say that. People are like, it should... Who's complained about the marketing as of so far? People are like, they should have marketed it as a console. They should have marketed it as a handheld. Are you critiquing the marketing that everyone is praising right now? For what? What's the problem with the marketing? There isn't. People who are complaining about the marketing right now, about the Switch's specific marketing that nobody else is complaining about, we know why they're complaining about it. Because they want a Nintendo PlayStation. And his channel, his Nintendo Switch videos were like the absolute worst. Because he was dick riding Nintendo so hard to play third-party games on the go. And then he realized that, it's a Nintendo system and it has to prove itself before it gets third-party support. And said, it's just not for me. It's not... And then he makes the claim that, and this is not really... This is subjective. Because it depends on where you're at. But he was like, Reggie was lying about the Wii U being sold out. The console sold 3 million within like the first 2 months. It sold 3 million consoles between like November and December. The console was selling well until like January, where there was like no fucking games out other than I think like Lego City Undercover. And the console fell off the cliff because the 3 million who got into it, Nintendo's marketing was ass, the confusion with it and the Wii and shit. There were a lot of fucking problems with the Wii U launch. But in terms of its launch, it did sell out. That's like him saying that, it didn't sell out. You could go into the store and buy one. Man, I wouldn't argue that within the first... Now, granted, I don't remember that specifically, but I would argue, that's like arguing that the Wii's launch was like that. It's bullshit. And it's bullshit. He's like, I can prove it. I can go in on opening day and go buy a Switch off the fucking store shelves. And I'm like... If this thing sells like the Wii, no the fuck you won't. You can't even make that claim. That's a baseless claim based on you thinking that everything's a lie, like they're not mass producing. Even though Kimishima just said he was starting to produce more because the demand has increased. And as we've seen through charts and even comparisons, The Switch hype is pretty fucking high right now, even with some of the negatives we have to deal with. It's pretty fucking high. And I would at least, and it's like I said in my other video, I would at least bank that this console is going to do better than the Wii U, which is always a fucking good thing, alright? So, my main point is that marketing doesn't change what the console is. All you want is a Nintendo PlayStation, and you're fucking defeated because the console that you have currently, well, the console that you're looking at currently, is not your Nintendo PlayStation. You wanted a handheld Nintendo PlayStation, and then bitches were complaining about the price. It was the same shit. It's $300. How in the, I don't, and this is the last thing, and I'm gonna drop it. How in the flying fuck are you gonna get a console that gives you local multiplayer out of the box, play online, play with friends? You can play it in 3 or 4 damn configurations. Gives you a grip, HDMI, internet connection. What else am I missing? Haptic, HD rumble, fucking haptic feedback and shit. Gyro in the fucking controllers. All this. Oh, and it can run Wii U games and a little bit stronger than Wii U games on the like pretty much a console experience on the go for fucking $300. Like why the fuck do people think that that's too fucking expensive? What are you kidding me? What the fuck? How is that expensive? What do you deem as expensive? And what people will fucking roll over and say is it's because I didn't want that shit in the motion. I didn't want motion controls in my controller. What the flying fuck? I hate the price argument. Also, you're fucking complaining about a $50 difference between $250 and $300, and you're complaining about a $50 difference, which would cost you the price of a fucking game. And and there was a video, and in the Juices Soup podcast, I mentioned this. People are complaining about the Joy-Cons that cost $80, but if you want to buy PlayStation VR, you have to buy Move controllers, which I believe are like over 5 years old, 5 to 6 to 7 years old. And how much do the Move controllers cost? It's not like the Move controllers have gotten an upgrade. It's not like a new version of the Move controllers have come out. It's literally the same fucking Move controllers. How much do the Move controllers cost, everybody? Oh, that's right, MSRP of $100 fucking dollars. And how much is the MSRP currently for the PlayStation 4 controller or the color variations? Somewhere between $60 to $65. Well, maybe like $55 to $65 for a controller that's fucking how old? Are you? What is this double standard bullshit? That's all I gotta say. I'm done. I'm just saying that that video he posted today of his reaction because a subscriber asked him to talk about it. And then like he goes on a rant where you can tell as a Nintendo fan he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. It can't run Mass Effect Andromeda. It's like niggas getting on there and being like the Wii U couldn't run GTA 5. What? Ain't got nothing to do with the power of the console not being able to run the game. It has everything to do with if the console is worth porting the game to and if there's money to be made. That's how this shit works. It's a business. You can't run it. Bullshit. The Wii had games on it that people didn't think could run it. Because they were fucking wrong. And there was money to be made on the Wii. Fucking duh. Christ. Look, this is the problem with the Switch. Everybody wants to act like, and then he wants to be like, I'm not gonna be that Nintendo YouTuber who's sucking everybody's dick. Were you around for the Wii U generation? Bullshit. There were many, almost the majority of Nintendo fans shitted on the Wii U its entire life cycle. That console got so much shit, it was ridiculous. But you're not gonna be one of those Nintendo YouTubers who suck their dick. Who? Point them out. Shit. You probably gonna point me out a sponsored channel. The majority of the Nintendo fan base was shitting on the Wii U for various fucking things. Get the fuck out of here. I'm done. Fucking done. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you all later. Peace. Oh. Fucking. Oh, everybody. Nobody was shitting on the Wii U. No one shits on Nintendo. Please, that's like a fucking sport.